Alright, hey guys, welcome back to episode 3 of Gun Mods, and I totally just said that like I was on a television show. Sorry about that. Anyway, we're talking about triggers today. First thing we need to talk about is what's your context. If you're a competitive shooter, man, have at it, go nuts. If you're a cop, you're not allowed to touch it anyway, so responsible, armed citizen out there, or you're an off-duty cop and you're able to just carry whatever you want. Then we can start talking about aftermarket triggers and what we're trying to accomplish by it. Now, general rule, if you want to shoot real quickly and real accurately, a really light and short trigger is the way to go. And now some will ask, well, why not just have the lightest, shortest trigger ever and we can all just be like, savants with our pistols? And I'm like, well, great question. And the difficulty was, what we've discovered is under fear, under stress, under intense muscle fatigue, when you get startled, it's very, very easy to negligently discharge around, or even when you intended to shoot, you end up shooting around when you didn't even realize in that excited state that you'd even touched the trigger. Also, if you have gloves on or anything else that can rob a little bit of that dexterity, you can crank off a round before you intended to, meaning a really short, light trigger may be fantastic for what you're doing on the range, but in a real-life altercation, some really, really bad stuff can happen. So what they did is they ended up making a really short, light trigger in all these striker fire guns like a Glock or M&P, CZ, P10C, whatever. In all these, they make a real short, light trigger, and then they put this pre-travel place. It's kind of like a buffer zone in front of it. I'll show it to you right now, right here, of this buffer zone right here. Buffer, you see it? Buffer, buffer, and then easy. Buffer and then short and easy. Buffer and easy. And that's how the trigger's built. It's kind of like the bumper of a car that keeps you away from the car itself, right? So that wasn't the best analogy in the world, but you get the idea. It's like a buffer area so that we can kind of wade into the water right before we pull the trigger. Cool? If you're a competitive shooter, you may decide, hey, that buffer space is a waste of time, and I should remove that and just get a real short, light trigger. And for a competitive shooter, I'd be like, yeah, rock on, man, dude, win. If I'm playing a game, I'm going to play to win. Rock it out. Have fun. But when everything else it comes to is defensive shooting, and if your context is really defensive shooting anyway, then let's go ahead and always have triggers like that. So we arrive at something like I carry. Like I've got a few different triggers in front of me here. Here's one. Here's one. Here's one, yay. This one right here is by Trident Defense, fantastic trigger. What I was looking for, and it's all like stock internal plates, pieces, and then the actual trigger is obviously customized, but the internals are still stock. They've just re-angled and smoothed out and are really good. This is their drop-in trigger, and again, I'll provide links below for you guys if you want to check it out. What I want is I want a custom trigger that will model as much as I can the weight and the distances of a normal defensive trigger, right? So in this one right here, I'll pull through and I can still find that like pre-travel point there. There's the wall, 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 and it clicks to and finds that nice spot so I can just go easy. And so really the pre-travel is the same distance. The trigger is almost the same weight. I may go just a hair lighter, but I certainly don't want something like 3 pounds. I like, 4.5 pounds. That right there is about as light as I want to go for a defensive trigger. If not, go ahead and 5.5. Get to that wall and smooth. And it should just be, once I get to that kind of point of no return, it just smooths out. There's nothing in there grinding or halting, anything I got to jerk and pull through. And then if I have something that has a little bit quicker of a reset, that's good too. But lighter and shorter is not always better when it comes to triggers. Got it? So those are just kind of general overviews. There's a whole lot of really good triggers out there. Beware of the stuff that has like insanely ridiculous, short reset and almost no take up. It can be very dangerous. I've even seen some aftermarket triggers that were just the bee's knees, awesome to shoot, and then they weren't drop safe anymore because it wasn't activating the secondary safety mechanism in the fire control system of the pistol. I'm like, dude, that is really, really dangerous. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. Yeah, it wasn't an exhaustive discussion on triggers, but it's at least something that will give you kind of your left and right limits to help you frame exactly what we're trying to accomplish and to be able to make good decisions within that. Got it? Train hard, train smart, and be careful with these mods. See you guys.